Portal Williams, 5 million. 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, it's been an interesting exercise in discovering what the Agricultural Compounds Veterinary Medicines Amendment Bill is about, and it's not an area that I'm generally familiar with, so I've valued the opportunity to broaden my understanding and experience. From what I understand, Mr Speaker, in the TRIPS agreement in 1995, the regime for data protection was first set up. So the implementation of the 5-year protection around the registration of the innovative agricultural compounds. And as I understand, the innovative ones are the ones with the active ingredients which are new to the market, as opposed to the non-innovative, where you might use those compounds in formulations that might be for a species that wasn't originally intended. And I note that a lot of the information that came out at the time noted that the industry was saying there was a potential for inhibiting the supply of products to the market around this protection issue. And I think it's kind of central to where this bill is wanting to head. The Act currently provides for the innovative compounds and medicines, but there is a balance, I guess, that it is trying to achieve between encouraging the competition but weighting that against what might be discouraging the registration of those compounds. And I think in terms of intellectual property and what's noted here as data protection, it is a useful correlation to think about protecting the rights of owners of this data or this innovation or this information, if you look at it in the wider context of intellectual property, and really extending the period of, I guess, in effect, having a monopoly in the market. So the arguments might be that it's possible that might cause higher costs. Also, effectively, you could potentially be taking away competition, which might naturally force costs down, and it could potentially even remove the incentive for innovation. Those are the arguments that I think need to be further explored, and this is why we're supporting the bill to Select Committee, because there are some questions that do need to be asked of it. I think one of the criticisms about the intellectual property and about the length of protection and the extension of that protection period is one of the arguments that has come up in the TPP discussions. And it's one of the things that people critical of the TPP discussion, particularly around the pharmaceuticals, are concerned about, that lengthening the time for patents, for example, to be in place potentially drives out people who are wanting to innovate. It drives out competition, potentially could add costs to the end consumer. Just around the uses for the non-innovative compounds, as I've said, there's possibility where we're looking at increasing protection. There's a possibility to use those non-innovative compounds in new ways for new species. And I guess finally I just want to make some comments about what I read that the Federation of Farmers and those manufacturers of generic products were saying around seeking shorter production periods. And I think that's a really interesting thing to look at, and I'm hoping that at Select Committee that submissions will be made on behalf of those groups to really tease out what would be the appropriate time, the appropriate length to have a data protection period in place. Just in conclusion, just want to say, Mr Speaker, we are supporting this to Select Committee, and there are one or two issues that we believe that do need to be thrashed out. Thank you very much.